All right, I got another review of an article. So this is something that popped up on my Facebook news, and it's from Insider.com. And the title is Elite Bodybuilder Says Hack Squats Are His Go-To Move for a Leaner Waist and Bulking Up Leg Muscles, which I thought was interesting and slightly misleading because bulking up leg muscles, yep, I can agree with that. But the leaner waist part to me kind of leads me to think like, oh, well, if I've got this extra fat here, then I need to be doing hack squats in order to keep my waist lean. And that's that's not that's not true. But it does go on to explain. This actually turned out to be a really good article after I read it, and I read over it actually a couple of times. Uh, there's definitely some good key points here. So at the top, it does have a couple of bullet points. Hack squats are key exercise for his leg day workouts. That's great. I agree. I think, for me, I typically will include hack squats pretty frequently. Hack squats focus more on the quads and glutes instead of using core or back muscles. Hack squat it is a top loaded machine. So you do have the weight up on your shoulder. So you are going to engage your core. You are still engaging your core, but it's a little bit less of an emphasis on that core. It's less than a traditional back squat, and that's what they're trying to compare here. So if you want to completely take out your core in something, a leg exercise that takes your core completely out of it, a leg press and leg extensions. You could even there's a few leg press variation kind of machines, pendulum. Even a pendulum squat uses a little bit of your core. Belt squats, great isolation for the legs, does not include core, back, whatever. So hack squat is one of them though. They can help. The third bullet point was a little bit kind of confusing almost to me, like it just seems silly. They can help build leg muscle, but unless you're a pro bodybuilder, regular squats are fine too. Cool. Thanks. Almost like it's giving permission for somebody to do some back squats or something. I thought the pictures were interesting. It shows him at a competition, which unless you really want to do a competition, you want to diet down like a competitor. Obviously, you're not going to get those types of results. That does require a lot of additional movement and some diet tweaks that a lot of times people are, you don't want to do. And in fact, it's not the healthiest thing to do. The other picture was him standing with a Celsius drink in his hand. He's obviously promoted by Celsius, and that's not a problem. I have nothing against Celsius. I just thought it was kind of interesting. Okay, so talking about the bullet points, squatting with weights fires up your abs is one of the things that it said in here in the article. It doesn't fire up your abs. Back squatting with a free weight bar, it doesn't necessarily fire up your abs. Front squatting, maybe, depending on how you do your tempo and your reps and your sets and everything and your rest time in between, but it's not direct ab work. If you are holding the bar in front of you, maybe like a Zercher squat, Zercher, I can see that firing up the abs more, but not necessarily there. Slightly disagree with that. It does go on to talk about how barbell squats are fine. Barbell squats are great, actually. Barbell squats are extremely effective in training multiple muscle groups in your body at the same time, and that's why we call it a compound exercise. A compound exercise is something that's going to work a lot of different muscles. And personally, I think it's great to have even beginners starting with a barbell squat and working through that, and you basically, a lot of times people are retraining their body on how to move properly. So things like a deadlift and a squat, I think, are great compound exercises to figure out how to move properly. We've probably been bending over and flexing that spine so much that you could have some spinal issues, some bulging discs, very, very common. And so to practice a back squat and a deadlift and strengthen those muscles that are requiring you to move that way, it's a great exercise. Also helps build bone density while you're doing multiple sets and reps with those types of exercise. So don't stop doing those things. Hack squat's a great isolation. Maybe do a regular barbell squat and then move over to a hack squat as an accessory. I think that's a great idea. So don't avoid squats. Compound exercises help you retrain how to function, day to day. Then towards the end, I thought it was kind of funny. He said, if you want a six-pack, nutrition is more important than the type of exercises that you do. In the last sentence, it says, quoting him, Erin Banks, for getting abs, people think they need to go to the gym and do ab exercises. But if your food is not correct, you'll never have abs like me. Okay. It's true that your food has more to do with really being able to get so lean that your abdominal muscles, you can see that well, right? So you go back up to the top picture and you can see his abdominal muscles and, obviously extremely low body fat percentage. That takes a lot of manipulation of calories in your diet. It's not healthy. But if you want to get to a point that's kind of like that, you do have to manipulate your diet in order to lose fat and kind of get to that point. I just thought it was funny how they phrased it that way, but it is true. Hack squats are definitely not. There's no specific exercise that's going to make you lose fat. I have people I work with, and just day to day, who will say like, "Hey, I've got this extra, fat here. How do I lose that?" It's like, well, you got to change your diet. In order to recomposition your body, you do have to include some resistance training and change your diet and make sure that you're eating properly so you can lose that fat. You can do some exercises that will help build muscle in that area, but in order to tone, which what you're saying is build muscle and lose fat, you're going to need to change your diet, your daily diet. You're going to need to include resistance training, because what could happen is if you don't do resistance training, you're going to lose the fat, but you're also going to lose muscle. Okay, so you don't want to do that, right? Nobody wants to do that. Nobody says, I'd like to lose fat and get weaker at the same time. Okay, well, we can make that happen. Ideally, what you want is to have resistance training a part of your weekly routine. It doesn't have to be every day, but resistance training should be there. You should have some cardiovascular training that's going to help your conditioning, and that's going to help your heart, obviously. You do need to have a fairly healthy daily diet. It doesn't mean you can't indulge in some ways, but having a daily diet that's going to help feed your body properly, that's very important. And then sleep. And that's the way that you basically, and rest, right? But that's how you recomposition. Okay. And people will say like, yeah, I just can't get rid of this. Well, that's because that's typically, like for men, that's typically the last place that fat disappears. That's where it starts. That's totally natural. So manipulating your diet, manipulating how you exercise, build muscle, lose fat. It's actually very simple. If your food's not correct, you'll never have abs like me. What if I don't have abs like you? I know what it means. I get it.